벨라루스. 우리에게는 조금은 낯선 이름이지만 1991년 구소련으로부터 독립한 동유럽 국가입니다. 한국보다 조금은 작은 면적을 가지고 있고 또 한국과 유사하게 아주 어려운 역사를 지니고 있는 나라이기도 합니다. 그러나 벨라루스 여성들은 더 나은 미래를 위하여 열심히 노력하고 있다고 합니다. 오늘은 주한 벨라루스 대사관의 나탈리아 질레비치 대사님을 만나보겠습니다.
The point of our discussion lies in women's issues foremost, but I was just reading that in Belarus they just celebrated International Women's Day, and that's actually the combination of Women's Day, International Women's Day combination in Belarus. Has that been going on for a very long time?
Very long.
Is that a tradition? What goes on that day?
It goes back to the Russian Revolution of 1917, when actually this day was established as a public holiday. And it has been a public holiday since that time.
So it's a public holiday, the International Women's Day.
Yes. As time passed, it has lost part of its political nature because it started as the Liberation Day for women. Today it is mostly the day when most of men remember that there are women around them.
Ooh. Very important day.
It is. We are presented flowers, gifts, and our sons and husbands are saying beautiful things to us.
Oh, really?
And we remember that women do a lot for economic and political development. This is actually a tradition.
I also saw in the news that there was a run through Minsk with women with baby carriages.
They invent different things every year. Last year it was like men were running with boiling water.
Really?
This year it was babies' carriages. I don't know what they're going to invent next year.
So what was the thought behind men running with boiling water?
To show that they can cook from time to time.
Oh, I see. So overall, I mean, what is the position of women in Belarus? I actually saw they're very well represented in parliament.
Yes, it is 30% of women on the parliament. And it is mostly due to societal agreement, if I may say so. We do not call it quotas.
Oh, okay.
But it is widely understood within the society that up to 30% of women should be in parliament, and it has been for 10 consecutive years.
Really? Oh, wow. That's very, very impressive.
It is, and we were well marked by the United Nations for that. At present we have, not just on the parliament, but on the government too, we have a woman vice prime minister. We have 2 ministers on the cabinet. We have 17 deputy ministers. 51% of the working force in my country are women. 55% of the working women have higher education. And only 38% of men have higher education. So women are generally better educated, as much as in Korea too. There are more women in education, in judicial bodies, in public health than men. Very much the same as in Korea. But not all the women are economically engaged. 65% of women are working outside their households. But this is quite a good index, very much the same as in any other country.
What does the government in Belarus do to sort of ensure that women get that? I mean, there's not total equality yet, but to make sure that women do progress towards this path.
The government in my country follows the general recommendations of the international organizations as far as gender equality is concerned. and is striving to do as much as possible, although it is not always very easy. First of all, as I have already mentioned, it's sort of political quarters for women in politics. And the greatest instrument is economic support and economic incentive. Economic support to women who work.
Oh, I see.
First of all, creation of infrastructure to bring up children. Maternity schools, because the most difficult time is when a baby is very young. And second, economic incentives to business who employ women and who promote women to the administrative, managerial posts.
Is that what you're talking about, or is it, what kind of system is available for women who have just given birth?
The same as in Korea. The institutions which help to look after very young babies, and then the institutions, we call them kindergartens, the same as in Korea, who help educate young children before school. I mean preschool education, and then school education with the facilities for children to stay until their mother is through with her working day.
Is that enough? Are there enough facilities?
Yes.
Korea's always had a very lack of them.
I know there are enough of facilities in my countries. Officially, every young mother can stay at home with her child until the child is 3 years old.
3 years old. And when they do come back, do they find it difficult to adjust? I mean, if they take 3 years off, it's going to be quite a long time they've been away from work.
Yes, it's quite difficult to come back into Korea. And of course it takes time for them to become, again, an expert, so to say. But the government does not allow to lay off young mothers until the children are 5 years old. And then there are several other means to support a mother with children until the children are 16 years old. So the government is trying to do their best to support women.
You yourself are an example for other women and girls in your own country and in Korea as well. How did you do it?
I'm not a particularly typical example of a strong woman. Yes. It was mostly the result of the situation within my country. We became independent in 1992, and I was invited to the foreign ministry. And it was the time when a new team in foreign politics was established. And it was a time when if you were able to do something, you could make a good career.
What was your career before in the old Soviet days?
Before that, I was at the Academy of Sciences.
I see. You were a scholar.
I was a scholar, and I dealt with history, and mostly with medieval history, which has nothing to do with foreign policy. And when I started to work at the foreign ministry, I suddenly realized that I like to meet a challenge. It was a complete revolution within myself. It is not that I have become a male type, but still it turned out that I like to solve the problems, and sometimes I was a success.
And academic life must have been very, very different from your diplomatic life.
Absolutely, yes.
But do you find the same kind of challenges in terms of a woman facing a career and challenges?
In diplomacy, no.
No.
No. This is the profession in which people with weak nature would never survive. So it is practically equal for women and men to do something, to achieve something. Of course, there is a glass ceiling in diplomacy too. There are not so many ladies in diplomacy worldwide. But the greatest example for me was Madeleine Albright, the United States State Secretary. We met with her at a international women gathering, and she was listening to what I said, and she said, "You must pursue this career, you can achieve something." It was a shock to me, but I decided if somebody sees it in me, it must be there.
Madeleine Albright obviously saw it in you.
Then later I found out she told the same to everybody.
Well,
But it was a very encouraging moment.
I'm sure, but everyone took it differently, I'm sure. Although, you know, it was encouragement, but it's also depends on what you do with it.
Exactly, it should correspond to something in your soul.
The challenges that all women face is in whatever area they are and whatever level they are in, is to balance, you know, the rearing of a child and having a family and being out there and being successful and representing your country. How do you balance the two?
Me, myself, probably I was lucky. When I joined the foreign ministry, it was my husband who took part of my responsibility within the family, although he was very busy himself too.
So that lessens your burden.
This lessened my burden, and it made easier for me to incorporate a new world inside me, to enter this world, to make me part of this new world, and to make this world part of my life. It was not that he was cooking every evening. It was the part that he took the most difficult psychological burden. He shared it with me. He helped with me.
You've been here for like 2.5 years?
4 years
4
already.
years. Oh, 2011. Okay, so. And you've had a chance to meet a lot of Korean women,
Yes.
leaders and younger women. What do you see in the Korean women? What is your impression?
I would like to say that Korean women for me are Korea itself. Modern, dynamic, hard-working, fruitful, achieving good results, and a good example to the rest of the world. What you can achieve if you work hard. Korean women in business is something which impresses me most. I know how difficult it is to do business in this male world. And when I see people who achieve so much, and business is something beyond my comprehension,
Mine too.
I envy them very much, and I respect them very much. And I understand that they have achieved all this in spite of the traditions in this society, in spite of Korean dramas, which unfortunately follow the traditions in this country and the traditional stereotypes as to the women's role in society.
Sort of the Cinderella, sort of being rescued.
A bit too much,
Yes,
a bit too
rescued
much
by the
Cinderella.
prince.
Exactly, exactly. And what I always think when I watch Korean dramas, we must not dream our success. We must work for it. This I would like to see more in mass media, because mass media is something which formulates our set of mind.
I am now going to give you that chance because all our female ambassadors here, I believe, are world leaders in one way or another. We are asking all of them at the end of our interview. Okay, we're gonna say you are president of the world for a day or 1 hour, and I'm going to give you one. I'm the genie. I am going to give you one chance to change whatever you want. What would you change?
I would stop all the wars. I would, if I have a magic stick, I would stop all the acts of terrorism. I would give food to all people who are hungry. And I give education to all children who need it. And I will tell everybody in the world, be happy and fight for your happiness.
Well, I hope one day it happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.